Let's go through a few key ideas. So I want to start with a few key ideas, then I want to share with you some of the marketing campaigns that are super effective for growing your business. First big key idea is this key idea that you have no idea what you're really worth until you master lead generation. So why do I say that? Well, what every business is about, ultimately, if you boil all businesses down to their fundamentals, there is a fundamental relationship for every business. Every business is a relationship between demand and supply tension. Demand and supply sets the price. Ultimately, all businesses are simply a relationship between demand and supply. If you have something that's amazing and incredible and like everyone should love it, everyone should want it, but no one knows about it, no one loves it, no one cares, unfortunately, the price is going to zero, right? Doesn't matter how much you love it. If the marketplace doesn't love it, if there's no demand, the price goes to zero. Ultimately, here's another scary one. For most people don't realize this. Another really scary thought is that if you do something digital and you can just look after absolutely everyone in a digital environment and you can scale all the way to the moon, no dramas, that means you've got infinite supply. What happens when you've got infinite supply of something? What happens to price? Price goes to zero. How much does Google charge for the infinite supply of search? Zero. How much do they charge for the limited supply of the top 3? They do an auction for that. How much does Google charge for maps? Zero. How much do they charge when you advertise on the map? They charge something for that. But ultimately, anything that can be done infinitely drops to zero. Those of you running digital businesses, you've really got to keep that in mind. If the supply side is infinite, the demand side will always drop the price to zero over time. So everything is a relationship between demand and supply. No demand and supply tension, no price, right? So we have to have demand and supply tension in order to have price. That's the big picture. Zooming into the small picture, we want to find out more about our marketplaces. One thing that I've always found interesting as an entrepreneur is discovering that customers are not necessarily rational or reasonable. They do things that make no sense whatsoever. I'll give you a little example. I recently ran a poll, and the poll was, how much would you spend to be coached by your entrepreneurial hero 3 times a month for a year? Now, 65% of people said I would pay $2,500 per month, so 30 grand or less, right? That makes sense. Not many people have 30,000 to spend on coaching. And then it drops, that makes sense. 16% of people said 30 to 60 grand a year. And then it drops again, 7%, 8% of people said 60 to 120,000 a year. That all makes sense. But then what doesn't make sense is that it then goes up. 10.8% of people said I want to spend more than 10,000 a month for 12 months, right? So I want to go up in that. Now, one of the things that I love about data is that data highlights all of these anomalies. If you were to actually analyze this as a business, if you were somebody's entrepreneurial hero, you would be far better off having a smaller number of clients paying that high price than lots and lots and lots of clients who can't really afford it, right? But you only do that if you have the data, because emotionally, you're always going to get dragged towards the lower price. When you're bumping into 2/3 of people who say you're expensive, you emotionally make the decision to lower your prices and go down, 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 down. You get engaged in the race to the bottom conversation. So you need the data to strip away the emotion so that you know how to run your business based on the data. Is that making sense so far? Okay, cool. A big idea that I want to share with you before we get into these campaigns called transparency of demand and supply tension. Transparency of demand and supply tension is one of the most magical ingredients that I've ever discovered for growing a business. And most people have not discovered this, but transparency of demand and supply tension is when the marketplace knows that you're in demand. That is one of the most powerful positions to be in, when the market knows that you're in demand. When you go to a restaurant and you have to queue up to get into the restaurant, you know it's a good restaurant. So imagine this as a scenario that you go into the park, into the garden, and there's an ice cream. Let's say you've got the ice cream van business. You drive your ice cream van into the park and you open up the doors, and hopefully people come and buy an ice cream, and they come up one at a time, right? One at a time, whenever they feel like it, one at a time. Someone comes up and says, could I get a 50% discount? Oh, okay, have a discount. Could I get a free bottle of water with my ice cream? Oh, I guess, have a free bottle of water, right? Because people are coming up one at a time, you don't know how the market is resonating. Imagine if you did something slightly different. You run a thoughtful marketing campaign designed to create demand and supply tension. So here's what you do. You keep the ice cream van closed, and you wander around the park and you say to people, I'm going to be opening the ice cream truck very soon on a hot day, not that we know, on a hot day, we sell out of ice creams pretty quickly. So if you want to get an ice cream, you don't want to miss out, you may want to just go and queue up at the ice cream van. And if you just queue up at the ice cream van, you'll definitely get an ice cream. So people start getting up and they go to the ice cream van, they queue up at the ice cream van, and now the whole park can see that 30, 40 people are queued up at the ice cream van. So that same person who asks for a 50% discount, they look behind them and go, there's like 30 people behind me, they're not going to give me a 50% discount. They're not going to give me the free bottle of water because look how in demand they are. And also you as a business, you know you're not going to give them a free bottle of water because you can see there's 30, 40 people there. So just simply by creating demand and supply tension, you alter the price, you alter the speed at which you sell out, right? You alter the price that you sell for, you alter the amount of people who want discounts and things like that. And you've done that just by executing something called demand and supply tension, or transparency of demand and supply tension. It's one of the most powerful things that you can do to let people know that there is a tension between those who want to buy and those who can sell, right? So that's one of the things. Now, most people are not doing that. Most people are doing this. They're running around shouting about their project. Guess what? I've got a property development I need to sell you. Everyone's like, oh, stop talking about the thing. Rather than shouting at people, we need to do something called signals first, then sales. Signals first, then sales, which means we ask our audience to signal interest. We don't ask them to buy anything. So this is counterintuitive. We never ever ask people to buy anything. We only ask them for a signal of interest, and then we only sell to the people who first signaled their interest. So the first campaign is signaled interest. The second campaign is sales. If you put that mid-step in, you'll massively improve your business. There's a business that you've all heard of that does this incredibly well. It's called Glastonbury Music Festival. You cannot buy a ticket to Glastonbury for 364 days of the year. On one day of the year, they send out an email and they say, we have 700,000 people who have registered for Glastonbury, but we only have 130,000 tickets available. They go on sale tomorrow at 6 a.m. Everyone sets an alarm for 5:50 in the morning. They get up, hovering their finger over the button. All of those tickets sell out in a matter of 6 minutes. So what's wild is that genuinely, of 365 days of the year, Glastonbury tickets are available for less than half an hour. Now, what they're doing is signals first, then sales. So the campaigns that I want to share with you are called signal collection campaigns. These are campaigns, they're not designed to make sales straight away. They're designed to collect signals first, then make sales. Does that make sense? So I'm not replacing your sales process. You still need the sales process, but what I'm trying to do here is show you how to insert a signal collection campaign first. So signal collection strategies. The first signal collection strategies is called a waiting list. A waiting list campaign is super, super powerful. You can do waiting lists for property developments that are coming. You can do waiting lists for properties that are going to be coming onto the marketplace. You can give people tiny amounts of information. We have a luxury property. It's going to be available at this particular month. We're not sharing any information, but if you're in the market for a luxury property, join the waiting list and we'll be sharing the information with the people on the waiting list. So you can do this sort of stuff. One of the most effective waiting list campaigns of the last few years was this guy. You might have heard of him. Elon Musk stands up on stage and says, in 3 years from now, we're going to launch something called a Cybertruck. And the Cybertruck is going to be a new approach to four-wheel drive trucks. And it's got these specifications. We think these prices are going to be the prices. And he shows you it. And then he says, we haven't even built the factory yet, but if you would like to join the waiting list, you can put a $100 deposit down. Now, what actually ended up happening is 1 million people put down a deposit, and he was able to then go to the investment banks, raise hundreds of millions of dollars to build the factory to then sell the Cybertrucks. So he did the waiting list campaign 3 years in advance, then built the factory. Now, that is the opposite to what General Motors or Ford or BMW or any of those car companies would do. They would build in secret, not tell anybody that they've got some new thing coming. They'd manufacture 1 million of them, and then they'd desperately try and sell those things. That's how they would do it, wouldn't they? So he does it an entrepreneurial way, waiting list first, and then that. I did this with a new piece of software. So what you need to do is promote the waiting list as if it's a product. You got to pretend it's like a product and promote that waiting list as hard as you possibly can. Here's an example that I did. I had my team come to me and they said, oh, we've got this idea for some software. I said, I don't want to do another software company just yet. They said, we think it's going to be really hot. I said, look, I'll make a deal with you. I'll launch a waiting list. If I get 150 people join the waiting list off one post on LinkedIn, then we'll explore it. So I put the post up on LinkedIn and I said, I'm working on a new software project. It's AI for authors who want to write a book. If you're interested in writing a book and you'd be open to using AI tools, join the waiting list and we'll let you know a bit about it. So boom, there we go. We had a landing page set up on the Score app and then boom. So I think there's no way 150 people are going to join the waiting list for this. But sure enough, 750 people came through and I'm like, now I've got to do another business. So when they joined the waiting list, we didn't just do name and email address. What we actually did is we asked people, can you also answer 5 questions about what you want from the software and how much you're willing to pay? We collected all this really interesting data and we actually discovered the vast majority of people wanted to pay way more than we thought. We thought the most popular price would be under £30, but we actually had 5% of people saying over £100 a month, and we had more than 50% of people, 54% of people saying more than £30 a month. So 30, 60, 90, over 100. Right? We were shocked by the data as to the fact that people wanted to pay more for this product than we had even thought. So here's the blueprint. Let me give you a bit of a blueprint behind the scenes. Blueprint for running a campaign like this is you need a landing page. The landing page tells people what is coming in the future. In the future, I'm going to be doing this. Who here has ever thought of running like a training program, but you've never done it before? Okay, great. In the future, I'm going to be running a training program on X, Y, and Z. It's a new approach to A, B, and C, and it's going to be supported by these key people and speakers. If you're interested in that, join the waiting list. Right? So you just promote that like it's a product. Who's ever thought of taking people on like a fancy retreat to Portugal or something like that, a health retreat? Ooh, right? Wouldn't that be fun? Rather than like finding a venue and speakers and all of that sort of stuff, just set up a waiting list and just say, I'm going to be taking people, I'm exploring the idea. You could say I'm exploring the idea of taking 10 people to Portugal for a health retreat. If you're interested, join the waiting list and I'll share more information with you as soon as I've got it. So landing page tells them what's coming first. Then we've got data capture. I'll just go back a slide. We've got data capture and questionnaire, followed by telling people once they've filled in that information, what's coming next. So we call that the dynamic results. So landing page, questionnaire, dynamic results. That's as simple as it is. That's all you need to do. We've made it even more simple by creating templates that follow that whole blueprint. So this one's for software. This one is if you want to write a book, you can have a book landing page. Has anyone thought of writing a book before? A few people have thought about writing a book. Who's already written a book? Cool. So if you've already written a book, you could do a landing page for the revised edition, right? If you want to get the updated edition, something like that. And then this one is for things like coaching or a course that you might be running. So we've got one here that's for that. Join the waiting list, supercharge your XYZ result. So has anyone here ever thought of offering coaching? Who's thought of offering coaching? Quite a few people. Okay, this one's similar. It's called register your interest. Register your interest, super, super powerful. This is something that is available and you just register your interest for it. So don't ask people to commit to anything, just register your interest. For example, this is a template that we did, which is for a keynote speech. If anyone here, has anyone ever thought of giving keynote speeches? You'd like to be a speaker. Just launch a registration of interest. Would you like me to be a speaker at your conference? Register your interest, right? People give you all the information and then you've got that available to you. So all of these templates are a part of this software called Score app, and I'll show you how to get that, and it's you can actually start for free, which is pretty cool. Now here's how you want to think about your landing page campaign. A new approach to blank, join the waiting list for more information. So what would you do a new approach to? A new approach to, has anyone got an idea what they might do? Reading. A new approach to reading, join the waiting list, right? Would you like to have a new approach to anything else? A new approach to building a property portfolio, join the waiting list. A new approach to accumulating enough property so that you can retire from your job, join the waiting list for more information, right? So any of those campaigns, we just have a waiting list for those campaigns. Definitely, if you're in the business of developments, right, before the development's ready, join the waiting list for the development. Next one is discussion groups. Discussion groups are awesome. A discussion group is where people like to discuss their problems before they find a solution. So a lot of businesses, I'll share with you some marketing lingo. Some marketing lingo is that there are two types of audiences. There's an audience that is solution aware and problem aware. Solution aware, they know that they've got a solution that they're looking for and they're just looking for that solution. Problem aware, they know they've got a problem, but they're not sure what the solution might be. I'll give you an example. In this room, who here is currently on the lookout for a CrossFit gym? You want to join CrossFit? Okay, 0. Second example. Who here in this room is not 100% satisfied with your health and fitness and you'd like to get fit in some way? Boom, right? So most of you. So what I've just done there is demonstrated you the size difference between solution aware versus problem aware. A solution is a CrossFit gym. A problem is I'm not 100% satisfied with my fitness. Now, if you set up a discussion group that is broad and discussion group to discuss a problem aware issue versus a discussion group about a solution, you will capture a way bigger audience. You will get 100 times more people into a problem-aware group rather than a solution-aware group. That one distinction could blow up your business, by the way. If you're running a business, you always will fall into the trap of talking about your solution. Every single business owner that I've ever come across, after about 5 years of being in an industry, you can't help but falling in love with the solution that you offer and talking about the solution over and over and over because you forget what it's like not to know. And actually, if you just simply step back and go from solution-aware conversations to problem-aware conversations, you can 10x to 100x your business. So one of the ways that you do that is you launch a discussion group. And a discussion group is titled, there's a very special title so that you don't make people feel bad for joining the group. The title is How to Improve Blank. Oh, let's go back one. How to improve blank in 30 days. Join the discussion. How to improve your fitness in 30 days. Join the discussion. How to improve your golf swing in 30 days. Join the discussion. How to improve your property portfolio in 30 days. Join your discussion. How to improve your chances of retiring in 30 days. Join the discussion group. Right? So it's how to improve blank, how to improve your wealth, how to improve your finances, any of that, how to improve something. Join the discussion group. That is going to attract a problem-aware audience if you use a general term as to what you're improving. Once people do that, you get them to join a Facebook group or you get them to join a WhatsApp group. Discussion group templates. Okay, so the key thing with the discussion group is you must not promote it as though it's just a group. You got to promote it as if it's a product. If I was to arrive back, I've just been in the USA. If I got back from the USA and I said to my wife, honey, I bought you some jewelry while I was overseas as a present, and I handed it to her in a plastic shopping bag, like a Tesco shopping bag, how do you think that's going to go down? It could be expensive jewelry, but presented in that way, it's going to devalue it. Now, if I get much if I get much cheaper jewelry, but I present it in a beautiful box with a big bow, that's going to actually be really well. So the idea is that the way you present something that's free or a gift has a massive impact on the perceived value. If you say, I run a WhatsApp group for property investors, here's the link, that's just like handing something of value to someone in a Tesco shopping bag. If you say, I run a property investor group, discussion group for property investors, if you would like to join, apply to be part of the discussion group, apply to be part of the group through this landing page, now you've presented it in a box. Does that make sense? Have I made that point well? Only for 4 of you. Excellent. So what we want to have is some beautiful landing pages. Get inspired about property. Join the discussion. Are you ready to improve your property portfolio? Join the discussion group. We need some beautiful landing pages so that people go through an application process to join the discussion group. That is like unwrapping the gift. Rather than sending people a link or a QR code, we need to give people the gift in good gift wrapping. In a digital environment, that means having a high quality landing page. So once again, we've got all of these templates and it's nice. Campaign number 3 is called an intro event. One of my very first companies that I started when I was 21 years old, quite recently, when I was 21 years old, all the way back 22 years ago. I scaled a business from 0 to 10.7 million in 3 or 4 years, right? It was about 3.5 years. So it was a very fast growth business. And the way that we did that is that we discovered how to do an intro event. And that intro event, we got the slides right, we got the marketing right, we had this really great introduction event, and we just ran it 174 times in a year. And by running that introduction event 174 times with an average of 400 people per event, we just went boom, 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 boom. So we just ran this thing. Everywhere we could run it, we ran it. And we just ran this event. And it was the exact same event, same slides, same everything, same stuff on the chairs, all of this. Boom, we just did it 174 times. By doing that, we just got really good and we just ramped the business up. At the end of that year, I hated the sound of my own voice, hated that presentation, but we'd done 10 million worth of sales. So it was just the introduction event. Here's the thing, all of you take information that you have for granted. You're already swimming in the water called property investing, or you're swimming in the water of whatever it is that you do. You've forgotten what it's like to be out of that water. So this, by the way, I'm giving you an introduction to 4 or 5 campaigns. I'm sharing with you 4 or 5 campaigns. This stuff I've been doing for 22, 23 years, right? So it's not new to me, but anyone who's taking notes, you're sitting there going, oh yeah, that's good stuff. It's new to me. So I'm introducing you to a few new ideas. So you could do an introduction event as well. Introduction events are super powerful. I was just in Dubai and I got some inside information about the #1 real estate company in Dubai selling into the German market. Now, what they do is most companies that sell real estate in Dubai have about 600 salespeople on the ground, huge operations. This particular operation, incredibly profitable and successful, they do a weekly introduction to the Dubai real estate market. They repeat. They have a German celebrity who comes in and talks about what it's like living in Dubai. They pay that person a few thousand for each 15 minutes presentation. They promote this on autopilot and on repeat. 500, 600, 700 people join every single week, and they do an introduction to the Dubai real estate market. And every single week they repeat the same process and they say, this is what the economy's like, this is what the real estate market's like, this is the geography of Dubai, these are the different places, this is considered to be the upmarket area, this is considered to be a bit too far out. They give the experience, they take you through an introduction to the Dubai real estate market. As a result of that, people jump on a Zoom call, they look at that, and then they showcase these are the Dubai real estate projects that are currently available, and people buy those projects. So an introduction event. Now, most people won't sell, most of these real estate companies, they won't sell like that. They want people to come out one-to-one and meet with a real estate person and drive around Dubai, all this sort of stuff. Turns out people are very happy to buy real estate over a Zoom call if you just do a proper nice introduction and do it in a proper way. So introduction events can be incredibly powerful. I think there's only 9 full-time people in that company, and they're one of the top performers. So I've done startup workshops, I've done scaling workshops, all of those things. Here's how you do it. You think about it like this: an introduction to blank, how to achieve this particular result better, faster, or cheaper than ever, right? That's how you do it. How to achieve this result, an introduction to blank. So that you just run that as an introduction event. If you run that twice a month, you'll scale your business pretty consistently. I know a financial planner who built a business that was sold for $30 million, and it was basically a 10-year-old business when they sold for $30 million. The entire business was built based on Wednesday night introduction boardroom sessions for 10 people. So every single week, every Wednesday night, 10 people around a boardroom, they present an introduction to financial planning, and then they sign people up to financial planning, and then by the end of 10 years, they'd built a $30 million business. And the whole thing was just an introduction to financial planning every Wednesday night. Super simple. So once again, all these templates, we've taken our best thinking, we've templated it, we've made it super available so you can just basically take our campaigns. By the way, when we run events, we pick a template and we just edit our own templates. So all of the templates, I use the templates, I change the photos, I change the copy, but I start with my own templates. Campaign 4 is actually my favorite. Campaign 4 is scorecards. This one's been phenomenal. Another word for scorecards is assessments. So this is called assessment-based selling. Does anyone here sell to corporate or sell to government? Anyone sell PPE equipment to government every now and then? No, you don't. you're out on your yacht, aren't you? If you've done that, you're out sailing. So if you sell to corporates, one of the best ways to sell to corporates is called assessment-first selling or assessment-based selling. And what you do is you never sell them the solution. You only go in and say, we'd love to work with you to run an assessment. We want to survey your employees or survey your customers, right? And once we do that, we'll present you with the data. And then if there's anything at all that you need, we'll show you what's the best solution. But let's start with the assessment. Corporates love starting with an assessment. They can sign off on an assessment pretty easily. And then once you've got the assessment sold, it's very easy to scale up from there and sell a big thing. So assessments, you're going to see these everywhere. The doctor does it, right? If you go into the doctor, they don't just take a look at you and say, oh, let's put a bandage on your head. They say, let's do an MRI, let's do an X-ray, let's do a blood test, let's do an assessment. NHS website, they have a mental health assessment. A lot of financial planners now have a wealth personality test. Who here has seen this one? It's called the 5 Love Languages. Who's seen the 5 Love Languages? Okay, you've all done couples therapy. It's always funny when you take the 5 love languages thing and you do it with your partner, isn't that funny? And you realize all the gifts you'd been buying mean nothing to them. And you're like, words of affection? Words? I'm good with words. I could have done words. Would have cost a lot less. That's the love languages. Who's done this one? 16 personalities. You answer 40 questions, tells you if you have a personality or not. 800 million people have taken this one. It's absolutely wild. Sponsored by the CIA. Okay, this one is actually called the Key Person of Influence Scorecard. You'll discover that in your book, the Key Person of Influence book, there is a page that says, to get the most out of this book, you should take the Key Person of Influence assessment. If you take the Key Person of Influence assessment, it'll tell you which parts of the book are the most relevant for you. So people go in and they answer the questions and then they read the book a little bit differently, but they're now taking ownership of it. This made us tens of millions, just that simple process. We give away the books, people read the book, they take the assessment, they talk to my team, and we ended up making over $20 million worth of sales off the back of just that one strategy alone. So Key Person of Influence Scorecard, right? Very, very simple. You answer, you fill in the details, you answer the questions, it gives you a report, and then on the back end, we can see all the data. It's very, very nicely done, right? And then we can get in touch and we say, hey, we need to improve your published score, or we need to include your partnership score. We can see exactly how they answered every question. So all of those are great conversation starters. So here's how you do a scorecard. Very simple scorecard is called an Are You Ready to Blank scorecard. Are you ready to blank? Answer 10 questions to find out. Are you ready to run a marathon? Answer 10 questions and find out. Are you ready to invest in real estate? Answer 10 questions and find out. Are you ready to partner with a developer to improve your land? Answer 10 questions to find out. Is it possible that your property could be worth a lot more if it was a development site? Answer 10 questions and find out. Are you ready to improve your property by over £50,000 through cosmetic renovations? Answer 10 questions to find out. So are you ready to blank? Answer 10 questions and find out. These things, so powerful. Just give people 10 or 15 little quick quiz questions. Boom, they engage. Now you get a steady stream of leads. The other one that is kind of cool, less relevant for you guys, is which type of blank are you? Which type of real estate developer are you? Which type of investor are you? Which type of parent are you? Which type of business owner are you? Which type of leader are you? Which type of coach are you? Right? Any of those. Which type of landlord are you? Right? Are you a this or a this? We've got 4 types of landlords. Answer these questions to find out which of the 4 you are. Now, these things are easy to build, right? Because we've just built assessment templates of all of these. Does anyone here do life coaching? All right, a few life coaches. I tell you what, that one, the Wheel of Life assessment, totally transform your business. If you roam around telling people to take the Wheel of Life assessment, they go and take the assessment, they talk to you about which area of life is strong, which one's weak, and then boom, you sign them up for a life coaching session, right? Super powerful. That'll build your entire business. Just that one there, and that's a template that's there. The other thing too is we use AI to build these. So we actually just tell the AI what sort of business you've got, what sort of leads you want, and then the AI spends 30 seconds building 1,500 words landing page, quiz questions, results page, the whole thing. It codes it all up into one go. It makes you wait for about 10 seconds while it just little wheel spins, and then boom, says ready to go. Absolutely wild. But I will give you a warning with all AI stuff. AI is like a machine that bakes sponge cake, but sponge cake doesn't sell. Sponge cake only sells if you ice the cake and put someone's name on it. You got to make it special. So if you use the AI, make sure you do the icing on the cake. Add your branding, add your colors, add your bio, add your finishing touches, and then it works. So that's what it might look like at the end once you put your branding and your colors in there as well. Okay, everything is downstream from lead generation. I can't stress this enough. If you can generate a lot of leads, your business is going to thrive. I've never met a business that's drowning in leads that is in like serious trouble. Right? Obviously, those businesses need to hire salespeople and they need to keep up with growth, but that's a good problem to have. Every time I've had businesses that are like we master the lead generation, everything gets fixed after that. Unfortunately, if you've done amazing work on a product, but you can't generate leads for that product, doesn't matter how good the product is. Okay, fifth campaign is books. Who here has written a book? A couple of people have written a book. Most of you haven't written a book. I can't stress how incredible it is to write a book. Like, let me give you one sentence that sums it up. The book that changes your life is not one you read. The book that changes your life is definitely one that you write, right? Because once you write a book, you're an author. For the rest of your life, you're an author. You get invited onto all sorts of platforms as an author. You've got intellectual property you've created as an author. You've got a scalable thing that you can give to people as an author. Gives you status and it gives you scalability, gives you intellectual property, all of those sorts of things. Here's the only catch. Everyone thinks that a book is for selling and for making money off the book. A book is for building relationships. It's a relationship product. It's not a revenue product. So the key to making a book work is you just give away 1,000 copies per year. My strategy has always just been give the books away, right? I go running in Hyde Park, throwing the books at people. I turn up at people's weddings. You use confetti, I use books. Right? I just give the books away. Right? Here's my attitude. My attitude is if I had infinite amount of time, if I could, I would absolutely love to have a one-to-one cup of coffee with every single person in this room. If I had enough time, I'd love to sit down and talk to you. Given that I can't do that, I have to find another way to build a relationship. So if I give you a book, right, I've started with something generous. If you read it, we're starting to connect. And then later on, hey, I read your book. We've got a much faster shared connection. So I just give books away. Now, everyone I've recommended this to has blown up their business. Write a book, give it away. One guy in particular was James Church, wrote this book called Investable Entrepreneur. He has a business that does management consulting. He wrote the book, Investable Entrepreneur, took all of his information about how to become an investable entrepreneur, how to raise investment. By the way, great book and works for property as well. And then in the book, I said, put on the first page a link to the scorecard. Are you pitch ready? Are you ready to pitch your investors? And that has blown up the book, his business. All he does is he gives away the book, Investable Entrepreneur. People read the book, they take the scorecard and then talk to the team, and then they sign up, and the business has gone through like 500 to 700% growth since he did it. It's a huge uplift for the business. They win business against KPMG and Accenture and PwC because people have read the book and taken the scorecard. They're miles ahead. That's before they can even get a meeting with PwC. If you struggle with the idea of writing a book, who struggles? You're sitting there going, oh, I'm not sure I could write a book. Yeah, so try my new software. Bookmagic.ai. We actually built it, right? So true to my commitment, I said if we get 150 people on the waiting list, we'll build it. So we spent $250,000. We built it. It's awesome. AI. It asks you who your reader is. It asks you about you and your values. It asks you about what you're trying to achieve with the book. It then structures all the different chapters and tells you what to write in each chapter. Gives you ideas for analogies and case studies. Once you start writing, it actually tells you, based on AI, when it thinks you're going to finish the book if you keep writing at that pace. So if you want to get Bookmagic, there's the QR code. You can get a discount code for Bookmagic. I'll get out of the way. Actually, I'll pose. in all these photos. Okay, so if you want to try any of these campaigns are all available today. I've templated them all. I've put them all into ScoreApp. Let me just quickly go here. So they're all in ScoreApp. Let me quickly tell you how much ScoreApp is. When we build ScoreApp is a piece of software that can completely replace lead pages, Typeform, a PDF generator, Pipedrive, Copy.ai, Zapier. All of those pieces of technology are £199 a month if you were to get all of those bits of tech. Right? That's the basic packages for all of those. What we've done is we've made ScoreApp 0 to start with. So you just start on a free account. And then once you need to, you can go up to £29 a month or $32 a month. And then if you need to keep scaling, it's like $65 a month. And if you get like massive on our top account, it's £95 a month or £99 a month when you do the conversion, about £95 a month. So £95 a month is like 3,000 leads coming in. Most of you are never going to need that many, but something like $30 a month, £29 a month if you need it. And if you don't, you just drop back to a free account. You can up and down it, right? So super, super simple. There's no contracts or any of that sort of stuff. So we're just pretty damn confident that once you try it, you just want to use it all the time. It becomes an integrated part of your business. I've also given you the book, so it explains exactly how to set up a campaign. Once you've got one of your little campaigns set up, we've got a checklist called 29 ways to launch your scorecard so that you get lots of people taking the scorecard. Things like posting on social media and sending out some direct messages and some emails and getting some other influencers to promote it. All of that, it's got a how-to. We've also just launched something that's going live next month called the Lead Gen Toolkit, and that's basically all the best lead generation strategies we've ever got. We've templated them and stuck them in the back end as well with courses, and we've got all of our templates there so you can edit the templates on Canva. Every single week we have a workshop called Set Up and Score. Our head of customer success will actually take you through and do the setup with you, so it's super easy to set it up. We've got a help button with real humans on the other end. And some big names are just loving this. So like Ali Abdal is blowing up with scorecards. He gets thousands of people taking scorecards. Jay Shetty, when Jay Shetty drops his scorecard link, 4,000 people a minute take his scorecards off the back of like one little Instagram post. Chris Doe and Helen. Actually, who's heard of Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom? Few people. So he just hired someone. He wanted to hire a new general manager. He just used ScoreApp to apply for the job. And 900 people applied for the job in 3 minutes. So lots of cool stuff going on with ScoreApp. For today, sign up, get 50% off month one. So even month one, you get a nice little discount as well. You can have our special workshop. You can do our training course, all of that sort of stuff. So if you want to take advantage of that, there's a QR code. You can jump on that QR code. I'll pose again. Steve Jobs pose. Okay, final thought. Every lead is an asset. You guys love assets. You understand assets. You know that every house is an asset. Every real estate project is an asset. If you can hold on to more assets, more income is going to come. Income follows assets. More assets that you've got, the more income that you've got. I just want you to start thinking about every single data-rich lead as its own unique little asset. Why do I say that? A couple of reasons. I've been running businesses for many, many years. There's not a lot of security in being an entrepreneur, but the one thing that absolutely gives you security is having a whopping big list. If you've got 10,000 to 100,000 names on an email list, your business is going to be recession-proof. You can always go back to that email list. You can always launch a new offer. You can always give them an update as to what you're doing. You can always have a sale, right? It's absolutely powerful to have a list that is an asset. Second reason, I've sold a number of companies. One of the first questions they always ask you when they buy your company, how many people are on the database, right? They always want to know how many customers and how many others are on the database. It's one of the big assets that people want. So every single lead that you collect is an asset. Third thing, I've discovered that there are plenty of people who discover you in year one and don't buy anything in year one. Year two goes by, nothing. Year three, they come in heavy and they do something with you. Right? And when we go back and have a look when they joined the waiting list or when they joined entered our database, it's like 2 years ago. So sometimes people jump on the database just for whatever reason, not the right time. They lurk, they check you out, they get to know you over time. then they come in heavy. And that happens all the time. The faster you can build those databases, the better you're building yourself an asset. Did everyone get at least one good idea from that workshop? Yeah. Nice one. Thank you so much. You've been my best audience I've had all day.